Has been speaking to passengers on the cruise ship Ovation of the Seas in port at the time in Tauranga. What can you tell us, Wilson?
Good evening, Simon. Well, I was down at Ovation of the Seas at Pilot Bay in Tauranga about an hour ago speaking to passengers as they arrived back. They were from another tour group, not the tour group that was in Whakatane, and they weren't at the time aware of any delays, rather. But Ovation of the Seas now says they will be staying the night. We understand the scheduled departure time from Pilot Bay this evening was 6 p.m, but they will now be staying the night. They confirmed that about 20 minutes ago. Now, we're at the Tauranga Hospital. The helipad is just behind me if any passengers patients arrive here from Whakatane, but it's certainly a developing situation tonight, and we'll keep you updated with the latest where we can.
Thank you very much for that, Wilson. And of course, we will be going live to a press conference at 6:30, scheduled for 6:30, featuring the police and civil defence. Welcome back. We're returning now to our developing news. Several people are still missing after White Island's volcano erupted just after 2 o'clock this afternoon. St John says at least 20 people are injured, and at least one of those critically. Patients are being airlifted to hospitals in the Bay of Plenty and Waikato. Some have been treated on the island. About 50 people were on or near White Island when it erupted, including a group from the cruise ship Ovation of the Seas. The plume of ash from the eruption reached 3,500 metres into the sky. All right, let's bring back in Sam Kelway, who's in Whakatane. Sam.
Hi Simon, well, it's still just a waiting game here this afternoon. I've spoken to one man whose son was on the island at the time and he hasn't heard anything from him since, but it's just a waiting game for him and his whānau to see what the outcome is. Behind me, some of the White Island ships are being washed down as we speak. Obviously lots of sulphur and ash on those boats that were over on the island. Behind us though, this cordon has gone up. We understand that is for helicopters to land. We also understand the Coast Guard boat is coming back at some stage. It's all relatively quiet. There's still a lot of people around just again waiting and watching to see what's going to happen. Behind me where the cordon is, it looks like the last ambulance is actually just pulling away, but it certainly doesn't feel like anything is slowing down here at the minute. But you know, 2-3 o'clock this afternoon when we first arrived here, we could see people being stretchered from the boats into waiting ambulances. They looked visibly shaken, upset. Some of them looked like they had a little bit of dust or ash on their faces as they were pulled into the ambulances. We understand those ambulances went to the Whakatane airport where they received help there and were taken to the nearby hospital. But at the moment, still just a waiting game for news of people that maybe are still unaccounted for, and of course we'll bring you that information as soon as it comes to hand.
Sam, you've been there all afternoon. Clearly a few people are around you. What are they saying? What are you hearing from them?
Yeah, just a lot of shock at the minute, Wendy. People are obviously standing here and waiting for anything to hear from whānau members or people who may have been on the island. Remember, White Island Tours does employ local people as well as taking tourists. We understand those tourists were from Ovation of the Seas, or some of them were, and that vessel is now staying in the Tauranga port for this evening. But people just trying to come to terms of what's happened, wanting information as to the people who may be unaccounted for, and of course extra information from police. But like I said, the man I spoke to earlier before, it's just a really frightening waiting game until he hears information from his son.
We are, of course, standing by waiting for a press conference at Parliament scheduled to feature the Director of Civil Defence, now renamed in the last week the National Emergency Management Authority, and we're hoping to bring that to you live. Sam, can you just give us a quantification, an update? How many ambulances did we actually see coming and going?
Oh, so many, Simon. It was difficult to actually count. We understand there were upwards of 8 maybe helicopters and, of course, a number of ambulances.
I'm sorry, Sam. We've got the press conference, I believe. We're going to go to Wellington now.
I had the opportunity to be briefed on the details of the volcanic eruption of Whakaari, White Island, off the coast of Whakatane in the Bay of Plenty. The eruption happened at 2:11 today. It continues to be an evolving situation. We know that there were a number of tourists on or around the island at the time, both New Zealanders and visitors from overseas. I know there will be a huge amount of concern and anxiety for those who have loved ones on or around the island at the time, and I can assure them police are doing everything they can. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs have also stood up their systems to assist with any response required for those further afield. I will be travelling to the area this evening alongside the Minister for Civil Defence, Minister Peeni Henare. Our focus is to ensure that police and the National Emergency Management Agency have all of the resources they need. The National Emergency Management Agency is leading the response, and an active police search and rescue operation is underway. I do want to hand over now, though, to Sarah Stewart-Black, who is the Director of Civil Defence Emergency Management of the National Emergency Agency, and John Timms, who is our Deputy Police Commissioner, to give an update on the situation and the information that we have to hand. Sarah.
Thank you. Our thoughts are with everyone affected by today's eruption at White Island, and our immediate priority is helping those people. The New Zealand Police are running the search and rescue operation and can certainly speak to that, but the National Emergency Management Agency Coordination Centre is activated, and we're working to assess the situation and coordinate any required government resources. The National Emergency Management Agency, together with the Bay of Plenty Civil Defence Emergency Management Group, is leading the response. We do not expect this event to have any significant impacts for the people on the North Island at this time. If the situation changes, we will communicate this. GNS Science have advised that ashfall appears to be confined to the island, and they do not expect more than a minor amount of ash to reach East Cape in the coming hours. I ask that the people in Whakatane and the Bay of Plenty continue to follow any instructions from local authorities and the police.
John.
Also, our thoughts are with the families today. Firstly, we initially believed that there were 100 people on or near the island. We now know that there is fewer than 50. Some of these people have been transported to shore. However, there is a number still remaining on the island who are currently unaccounted for. I can confirm there is one fatality, and based on information we have, there's likely to be more. A number of injured people have been transported to Whakatane Hospital and Muriwa Hospital. Emergency services are working to ensure the safety of everyone involved, including rescue staff. We are working at a pace to confirm the numbers of these involved. At this stage, it is too dangerous for police and rescue services to go to the island. However, we continue to assess the conditions which would allow us to go onto the island. The island is currently covered in ash and volcanic material. We are taking expert advice with regards to the safety of any rescue attempt. We will provide more details as they come to hand. Thank you.
Happy to take questions, John. And
that is
Sarah.
Deputy Commissioner of Police John Timms, along with Sarah Stewart-Black, the Director of the National Emergency Management Agency, or Civil Defence, speaking with Prime Minister Ardern at a press conference after the eruption on White Island. It has now been confirmed that one person has been killed and a warning that there may well be more. We will continue to update you on this story as it emerges throughout the evening. The eruption on Whakaari, White Island.
And the police also saying there that it's too dangerous for them to actually go to the island right now. The Prime Minister is heading there, and she will report on what is happening later on tonight. And Sarah Stewart-Black, Civil Defence, saying there is no impact on North Island as the ash is confined at this stage to the island. All right, we will go to sport now. And Andrew, Breakers, the ditch.